With an allegation coming out of the Mr. McMahon series and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Going over plans for an upcoming Smackdown, Ringside News noted that WWE Smackdown is bringing the action to Brooklyn's Barclays Center on October 25th, and fans are in for a treat. The World Heavyweight Championship will be on the line as Gunther defends his title against Damian Priest. While the match is confirmed on WWE's website, it's expected to be a dark match exclusively for the live audience rather than airing on the Smackdown TV broadcast. This showdown is a rematch of their clash at SummerSlam, where Gunther defeated Priest to capture the World Heavyweight Championship. The two have crossed paths since, with matches on WWE Super Show Summer Tour and a dark match during the September 13th episode of Smackdown. In addition to the World Heavyweight Championship bout, WWE has stacked the October 25th Smackdown card with appearances from top stars: undisputed WWE Champion Cody Rhodes, WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, and fan favorites Bayley, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Gargano are all set to appear. With much speculation regarding the Lucha Bros heading to WWE, Rey Fenix seemingly bid farewell to AEW, posting multiple photos on Instagram and writing, "Bless Lucha Libre, thanks for everything." Talking about initially joining WWE, Ricochet said this on Talk is Jericho. "It was when Lucha Underground ended. Canyon came and contacted me for NXT actually. At the time, the black and gold stuff was going crazy. They just did the Cesaro and Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke, and the Finn Balor's and Kevin Owens, and all of those guys were just killing it. Not only that, but you had Undisputed Era when I was there, and Aleister Black was there. That was kind of the only place I really wanted to be. I didn't want to go to Raw or SmackDown. I wanted to be in NXT. I was only there for like 9 months and then we got called up to Raw. It was actually me, Johnny, Aleister, and Tommaso. I got lucky because I had a pretty decent deal going in. It wasn't like that's kind of what drew me there. The deal was too good to turn down. At the time, if AEW was even a thought or a plan or anything, I for sure would have went this direction for sure." Mentioning the time where AEW Dynamite went head-to-head with WWE NXT, AEW's Nick Jackson told Undisputed Substack, "Absolutely, competition breeds excellence. One thing I actually kind of miss is when we'd battle it out weekly on Wednesday nights. It was exciting seeing who would have the better night. It makes you feel more alive." Naming special guests for his Miz TV segment on NXT next week, The Miz posted this to X.
"Tony D'Angelo, saw your training montage. Pretty impressive. Now you and Oba, you can sign your contract in Ava's office at any time. But how about next week? Live on the debut of NXT on the CW. It's Oba Femi and Tony D'Angelo on Miz TV. Yeah. Now that sounds awesome!"
Taking to X, Ricky Starks, who has been absent from AEW since March, posted this photo and wrote, "Hard work and nothing less, ready to wrestle because that's what I was meant to do. That and be absolute." Reflecting on NXT's time spent on the USA Network, as it will be heading to the CW Network next week, William Regal wrote this on X. "I was part, except for H's family, part of the very beginning of WWE's NXT. I'm still involved, but not as much as I was. Thank you to H, Sean, Matt, and everyone else that fought the fight of making a 1-hour program on the WWE Network to traveling the world and making new stars and memories for the fans. It continues today. Doesn't matter what the color scheme is or was or has been. We changed the wrestling world, although few will want to admit it. It's been the best part of a 41-year career being NXT to the core." One user said, "Thank you for everything you did for NXT and also snaking out the competition, AEW." Regal replied, "For your information, although it serves some people's agenda and having a massive amount of people who work in AEW that can only back me up, I went to AEW to help because Bryan Danielson asked me to. Please find me one person who can say otherwise. I arrived at 10 a.m. until 6:15 p.m. Eastern to train anyone who wanted to come. Apart from going to the restroom and refilling my water container, I never attended a single production meeting, as I knew if I were to stay there, I needed people to realize I was only there to help. Nor did I ask a single question about anybody that works there's contract status. I helped at the ring with what any of the talent needed. I showered and got into a suit by 6:30, then watched the monitor with everyone else. I'm giving you the right to ask anyone who works backstage or talent the right to ask them if I did anything but help with no agenda. Feel free." I also didn't call Tony when his mom was ill. He called me, and as soon as he told me where he was, I ended the phone call and we spoke 2 weeks later. FYI, my deal was up in December 28. That's when I left. These are all facts I can prove. Anyone trying to twist this has the right to check this out. I am friendly with 60% plus of the talent and backstage crew. Feel free to do some real research. When it comes to plans for Stephanie Vaquer following her appearance on screen last night at NXT, Ringside News wrote that according to Corey Brennan of Fightful, when Stephanie Vaquer signed with WWE, it was said to have significantly shaken up the NXT women's title scene with everything on the table creatively. Her debut will involve a title feud, much like Giulia's, indicating big plans for her right from the start. Explaining her decision to leave WWE, Mercedes Moné told The Breakfast Club, "I left for many different reasons. A lot of personal stuff happened with myself and the chairman at the time. I didn't like how he talked to me and how I was talked down too. I was like, it's time to listen to your soul and your heart. There was a light that came to me and I left WWE. A guide told me. I'm not the lawyer. I don't know. Yeah, a little crazy. That day he talked to me a little crazy. It was enough for my source of light to come into my body and go, if you stay, that's not okay. This is for the rest of your life. What are you going to teach your kids? What are you going to teach people? If you're feeling like this from words, being here for 10 years, you have to stand up for yourself. That's what I did. A light came to me and said, you have to walk away and do something better for yourself." Showing off behind the scenes footage from NXT, Mike Rome posted this clip to X.
Look at this. Look at this. Trick on the screen, getting ready for this big press conference. Look at these guys. Look at these guys. It's so big. Ed Sheeran's here. Look at that. Ed Sheeran, ladies and gentlemen. When your legs don't work like they used to before, and I can't sweep you off of your feet. He's back up in here. NXT Orlando. Let's go.
After NXT, Giulia would send a message to Roxanne Perez ahead of their match for the women's title.
Hold that title close, Roxanne. You only have a few more days with it.
With AJ Styles having been absent from WWE programming, this was said regarding his status with the company by Wrestle Votes in a Q&A with Joe Lowry. AJ is ready to start winding down a little bit. Touching on the possibility of Shane McMahon debuting in AEW during the upcoming Grand Slam event, Ringside News noted that during an exclusive live Q&A interview with Wrestle Votes hosted by Joe Lowry, Shane McMahon's potential move to AEW was discussed. Wrestle Votes reported that sources close to Shane revealed no one was surprised he took the meeting with Tony Khan. While there were no clear signs that he was heading to AEW, Wrestle Votes noted that since this week's Dynamite Grand Slam will be held in Shane McMahon's hometown, there's a chance he could make an appearance. Talking about a disagreement between Vince and Shane McMahon, Ringside News wrote that in the Mr. McMahon docu-series released on Netflix, WWE Hall of Famer Paul Heyman revealed that back in the day, Shane McMahon had a creative idea he really believed in, but Vince McMahon totally disagreed with him, with things really escalating between the father-son duo. Shane had an idea that he really believed in, and Vince totally disagreed with it, and with most things that happen with Vince, once they start to escalate, they escalate really fast. Furthermore, Vince made it clear that it was not going to happen while he was alive. At the time, while he was eating, he handed his knife and dared Shane to stab it right in his heart, as that was the only way he would have had his idea executed, daring his own son's manhood. Moreover, he even offered Shane to buy him out, much like he had bought WWE from his own father, Vincent J. McMahon. Vince finally turned to Shane and he said, "Not while I'm alive," and Vince, who was eating something, took his knife and handed it to Shane, and he says, right there, points to his heart, "If you want this so bad, stick the dagger right here, because that's what you're gonna have to do to make that decision, and if you don't stick the dagger right here, then I know you're not man enough to do it, and I have to take that into consideration as well. Or you can buy me out the way I bought out my father, and if I don't get out of your way, be prepared to get rid of me, the way I would have had to get rid of my father when he wasn't doing things my way at all." During the Netflix docu-series titled Mr. McMahon, Vince McMahon would address the sexual assault allegations made against him by former female referee Rita Chatterton, as he said, "Even if it had been a rape, the statute of limitations have run out." Tony Atlas would go on to say this regarding the culture of professional wrestling at that time: "We abused the hell out of women, all of us did." During that same docu-series, McMahon would open up on how his mind works, saying, "I have not two different brains, but like computers in my head. And sometimes they work against me. I have one computer talking to you right now, and there's another one thinking about something completely different. And then there's a third one sometimes. It's difficult for me to pay attention to things. It's bothered me because all I wanted to be was normal. I wanted to fit in, but I deal with it." Also, Vince McMahon would say this regarding those telling him to retire: "Do I ever see myself retiring? No, I don't ever see myself retiring. I never understood why people stop growing. When you stop growing, you die. Some people are like, I want to retire one day. What are you going to do when you retire? I have no sympathy for people like that. So, go die." Another allegation against the late Pat Patterson would come out during the Mr. McMahon series, with Ringside News writing, "Vince McMahon's Netflix docu-series finally dropped, and there was a lot to unpack from the first episode. Although there wasn't a huge expectation that new revelations would come out as part of it, fans did see a few interesting notes uncovered. Apart from Vince McMahon's views on sex, the docu-series also dove into his controversies. The Flying Boy scandal received a spotlight in the second episode of the series, and that is where Tony Atlas made a shocking admission. During an interview on the Mr. McMahon docu-series, Tony Atlas claimed that Pat Patterson would grab his pecker in the locker room. He was very serious about this, and it was not said in any jest at all. Pat Patterson died on December 2nd, 2020 at the age of 79 from liver failure caused by a blood clot. His passing hit the pro wrestling world in a big way because he was seen as an elder statesman in the company. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.